Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube channel where we learn together, take action together, and reflect together. My name is Tamira and thank y'all so much for being here. Today we are talking about the reason behind the Killiads, the thousands of children across the state of Tennessee failing the third grade. And so why are 60% of Tennessee children illiterate? 76% for my local community, Memphis. Why can't our children read? Have you asked yourself that question this week? 6 out of every 10 children in Tennessee cannot read. Why not? Well, because the public school system has failed them. The children are failing because the system is failing, which is what it was designed to do. If you know, you know. And so that's the short answer, but let's go a little deeper. Hop in the car and let's ride. In 2021, the Tennessee legislature, which is made up of senators and House representatives, the elected officials that were voted for and sent to the state capitol, passed a law that requires third grade students to be retained if they do not meet reading and writing expectations on the TCAP, which is Tennessee's state assessment, unless certain requirements are met. I found the bill on the Tennessee General Assembly website, and you can see it on the screen. And let me tell y'all something. These platforms are not easy to navigate. It's difficult to find information. It's very technical and not reader friendly, but that's another video for another day. I will link this page below in the description box for y'all to explore on your own. I also found the bill on this site, which is just as technical and has a lot going on. However, I do like this site more than I like the one I just showed y'all. It has some really great information about elected officials that all of us should consider when we are putting these people in office. I actually think I might create a separate video of me exploring both of these platforms and share it with y'all. But for now, like I said, I'll link them in the description box below. So the third grade retention law or bill was introduced by Representative William Lambert and Senator Jack Johnson with a host of sponsors. Why am I sharing names and faces? Because these are real people that govern our state. They have the decision-making power. I said this about my local school board in another video. Our elected officials make laws, policies, and crucial decisions that impact our everyday lives. And so it is important to know their faces, their names, their beliefs, their values, and what influences their decision making. This is the type of stuff our students should be learning in a civics class so that they can become informed citizens. But some of us don't want that, do we? Okay, let's get back to the law. If a third grader scores below or approaching in reading and writing on the TCAP, they will fail unless certain requirements are met. What are the requirements? Let's take a look at this graphic from the Nashville Public Education Foundation. There are 3 requirements and students only need to meet one of them. The first requirement allows students who scored approaching expectations or below expectations to be promoted if they retake the test and score at least proficient. The second requirement has 2 components. One component is for students that scored below expectations, and the other component is for students that scored approaching expectations. Component 1 of the second requirement says a student who scored below expectations will be promoted if they attend summer learning camp with 90% attendance and demonstrate adequate growth, and they must be assigned a tutor for 4th grade. Component 2 of the second requirement allows students who score approaching expectations to be promoted if they attend summer learning camp with 90% attendance and demonstrate adequate growth, or be assigned a tutor for 4th grade. So students who scored below have to go to camp and be assigned a tutor. They have to do both. But students who scored approaching get to choose one or the other. They get to choose camp or tutoring. They don't have to do both. The third and final requirement allows the families of only students who scored approaching to appeal to the state board of education with evidence of growth and or catastrophic events, which could be something like losing a family member or a loved one the week of the test. There are groups of students who are exempt from this law and will be promoted to the 4th grade regardless of the score. Those students are English language learners with less than 2 years of ELA or reading and writing instruction, students who have failed a grade before, and students with disabilities or suspected disabilities that impact reading. So that's it. That's the law that will have thousands of children repeating the 3rd grade if one of those requirements I just named is not met. And so do y'all wonder how this retention law will impact our children? I know I do. I wonder if all the yay voters know that students who are held back experience negative academic, social, and emotional outcomes over time. Do y'all think the yay voters have considered the negative implications and what they mean for our most vulnerable and marginalized students, specifically Black and brown students who are more likely to be retained than white students? Certainly they have to know that retention does more harm than good to our children. Yet here we are. We are here, y'all. It is 2023 and our children cannot read. That is the current reality. But how did we get here? How is it 2023 and our children are struggling to read and write, especially our Black and brown children? We can teach robots, ChatGPT, how to answer any question we wanted to, but we cannot teach our children how to read and write, arguably the most important ability needed to reach one's full potential? Listen. And the worst part of it all is that Tennessee children have been struggling with literacy, English language arts, reading and writing, whatever you want to call it, for a very long time. The TCAP data that was released last week is not new. It is not an anomaly or an outlier. This data that was recently released is very much on trend with literacy rates dating back decades. Take a look at some data from the National Assessment of Educational Progress, also known as NAEP. It shows proficiency rates for 4th grade reading separated by student groups, specifically Black and white students. Green represents white students and blue represents Black students. The dotted line represents the United States and the solid line represents Tennessee. Looking at Tennessee literacy rates in 1998, white students were at 30% and Black students were at 8%. 21 years later in 2019, white students were at 43% and Black students were at 18%. Here's another graph that shows proficiency rates for all 3rd graders in Tennessee from 2017 to 2022. And when we add the data from this year that was just released, see the red arrow, we see as a state, we are now at 40% proficient compared to last year's 35.7% proficiency. So when we consider this data, we see that literacy rates have historically been low with little growth over time and even lower for Black and brown students, which is a result of their needs not being met. Not because they can't learn and achieve at high levels. Black and brown children, in fact, can learn and achieve at high levels. All students can learn and achieve at high levels when their academic, social, and emotional needs are being met. Now let's talk about why our children have been struggling to read for decades. It is important to note that there are many sides and many layers to this problem. And given the context of this video, I will start with and elaborate on the layer of the problem that is test accountability. Educators are being pressured to increase test scores, and as a result, test prep has become more important than high quality, meaningful instruction. We are allowing a single test score to determine whether or not a student makes it to the next grade. That is absolutely insane because standardized tests, as they are designed, do not measure genuine and deep understanding. They measure the temporary acquisition of facts and skills, including the skill of test taking itself. And standardized tests also force teachers to rely on direct instruction techniques and non-stop practice. School success, teacher effectiveness, and student learning and achievement is overwhelmingly determined by how well students perform on standardized tests. So test accountability, that's one of the many layers to this literacy problem. Other layers include lack of and misuse of funding and resources, students' social and emotional needs not being met, overcrowded classrooms, top-down control, distrust of teachers' abilities and judgment in the classroom, lack of high-quality teacher and principal development and support, and lack of culturally relevant curriculum and instruction, just to name a few. So where do we go from here? The problem with this third grade retention law is that it is an attempt to treat the symptoms of the disease and not the cause. The disease is oppression. The cause is white supremacy or capitalism. They go hand in hand. And the current symptom we are trying to treat is illiteracy. The fact that our children, especially Black and brown children, are not proficient in reading and writing. Illiteracy is one of the many symptoms of the disease that is oppression, and we are treating this symptom, attempting to combat illiteracy with more testing, more tutoring, and more summer learning camps, which are not bad if the conditions are right, such as equitable funding, prepared and supported teachers, quality curriculum and resources, the things that could have prevented these symptoms from the very beginning. So maybe now you are asking, what is the solution? Where do we go from here? What is the cure? And we ask that question with good intentions and often with the belief that there is a quick fix or something that can immediately be done to reverse decades, centuries really, of illiteracy. And unfortunately, there is no quick fix to healing dying classrooms or a system of education that was designed to uphold the values of the dominant culture or of white supremacy. We did not get sick overnight, and we cannot heal overnight. This oppressive system has been functioning, operating, maintaining, and sustaining since 1619, and the only way we improve our schools is by uprooting the entire system. Sounds crazy, right? Sounds radical, maybe even unimaginable, but so is the fact that our kids are illiterate. That too is crazy, radical, and unimaginable. But if we are irrevocably committed to the side of the oppressed, our most marginalized groups, Black and brown children, then we have to roll up our sleeves and fight the system. And I'm gonna tell you right now who is not going to lead that charge. Not the two men that introduced this bill, not the people that sponsored it, and not the people that voted yes. It is those of us that are impacted the most by this level of dehumanization that will have to come together and lead this charge. So what do we do next? What are some immediate actions we can take to cure the disease while also treating the symptoms? Because both are important. We just have to be knowledgeable and strategic about the things we do moving forward. Obviously, the first thing we have to do if we are parents or caregivers to a third grader impacted by this law is to be sure to collaborate with the school and district to determine what is best for the child. What are the options for retaking the test? When does the test retake window close? Does the student need both camp and a tutor? If they get to choose camp or tutoring, which one will be better? How will summer camp be structured? What does adequate growth mean? What will tutoring look like during the school year? How do we ensure that summer camp and tutoring will be meaningful? What support and resources will teachers receive? Call, email, or visit the school to get the information you need to make an informed decision, to make the best decision for your child. And this is treating the symptom. There is no way around this law at this time. Well, yes, there is, but it would be super radical and require some serious organization and mobilization. But for now, get in contact with your child's school and determine the next best step. Get the knowledge you need so that you can take action. The next thing we can do, all of us, is to develop our knowledge. In my first video, I talked about how we cannot transform ourselves or our communities if we do not understand them. We have to take responsibility for being informed about what is happening currently in our communities and what happened historically that got us here. And so I encourage you all to check that video out. I will link it below in the description box. Also consider subscribing to my channel, which is all about developing our knowledge and learning together so we can transform our communities. Another thing that we can do is support the schools in our community. We have to know what is happening in our schools and what teachers and students need. Pick a school and get involved. Talk to educators and students and ask them how you can support them. Get to know your elected officials, school board members, county and city commissioners, your state senators, your state representatives. Email them, meet with them, call them, attend meetings. They work for us. They represent us. They are responsible for meeting our needs, and they must be held accountable by us, by the people. And finally, whatever action you take, whatever new knowledge you gain, share it with at least one person. Share what you learn. Y'all know my favorite quote by my favorite person, Maya Angelou, said, "When you learn, you teach." And you can start by sharing this video with someone else. And that's all I have for now, y'all. Thank you so much for riding with me and having this conversation. As always, I'm going to leave you with a reflection prompt. What is one thing you are going to do after watching this video? What commitment can you make? You see the options on the screen. Pick one and take action. Let me know what you choose and how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.